Hello, what is up you guys? BoClan3117 back here again, bringing you guys another video. This one's going to be my review of The Mist Season 1, Episode 2 on SpikeTV. Now I'm going to go ahead and say right off the bat that this episode did not feel as fresh and exciting and hyped and as interesting as the first episode did, at least to me, because the first episode really focused on the family of, I forget the father's name, but it's the father, Eve, and their daughter Alex or Alexis, whatever. I like that family dynamic. I like focusing on just those core characters and seeing their journey. But then in this episode we see characters, of course we see the father at the police station with the two people who were I guess being held in the jail cells. And then there's the people at the mall, and then there's the people at the church. So we get three different places that we're going back and forth from, and to me it kind of didn't flow very well. And I think that this story is best when it's focused just on the father trying to reunite with the with his wife and daughter. And I'm going to keep calling him the father because I don't remember his name. To be honest with you, I don't remember a lot of these characters' names. I mean, you get introduced to so many characters in one to two episodes so far, and it's just hard for me to keep track with their names. It's no Walking Dead or Breaking Bad or Sons of Anarchy where, you know, as soon as we introduce to a character who is really interesting and it's easier to make a connection with, you remember their names automatically. But if it's a bunch of characters who are getting very little development and they're just getting tossed around and just thrown at you in a matter of two episodes, it's just hard for me to remember their names. But I guess I might tell you a little bit of my state of mind in terms of watching this show. But anyways, getting into the review, we have Connor, who's the one of the police officers, and he's still an asshole like he was in the first episode. He leaves the father and the 17-year-old kid, and he leaves the two prisoners behind. He just rolls off without them, and then he crashes into a moose. He hits a moose, and then he has to leave his vehicle, and then he winds up at the church. So I was hoping that while he was out of his car, I was hoping that he was going to get killed by something in the mist, but no. For some reason, this bastard's still alive. So he made it to the church, and from there, we go back to the mall, and we see that the people are freaking out. They find out that there's a hall that's filled with mist, and that there's dead people in there. And they decide, okay, there's a radio in there. This character suggests that there's a radio at the malls because of everything that happened after 9/11, that they need to go in there and get it so they can find a way to, make contact with people outside the authorities, let them know that they're at the mall and that they're in trouble. And the manager of the mall, I don't know what you'd call, the owner, I don't know. He goes all, he goes all Shirley Jackson and suggests a lottery to decide who's going to go and try and get the radio. And so they decide that, okay, well, everyone puts their name on a little paper, they pull it out, and it turns out to be Eve. And Eve has to go get the radio, but then the same man who suggested they go get the radio, saying that there was one, he says, okay, she shouldn't go alone, I'll go with her. And they do go, and when they're there, he starts saying all these, he starts speaking, trying to contact people on the radio, and he's just the wording that he uses and the things that he's saying, it's like he knows, word for word how to communicate with them, how, he knows their dialect, he knows how to talk to them. So Eve starts getting suspicious. She sees that he has a gun, and she's, saying, okay, I'm going to get out of here, and then she throws a desk towards him to run away from him because he doesn't want her to leave for some reason. And then they get into a bit of a scuffle, and I think he hears something at one point in the mist, and then Eve reaches for his gun and shoots him and leaves him there to die. And to me, this scene kind of felt so random. It felt like it wasn't earned, really. I really think that it just came out of nowhere. And this guy who was seemingly helping her and seemingly wanted to, make things better for everyone, it just felt like he was a bad guy for bad guy's sake. And it was kind of hard to be on Eve's side. I mean, I kind of liked the character, but just that fight, I didn't feel like he was a bad guy. I mean, also it doesn't make sense. Okay, if he knows something, wouldn't you want to keep him alive to know what's going on? Did you have to go freak out and throw a desk at him and start running away? I mean, I understand she's scared, but still, to me as the viewer, it's kind of, I wasn't really into it. And like I was saying, the story's best when it's focused on the father. I mean, I'm not really interested in anybody at the church other than Miss Raven, who's the old elderly woman who, she's very eco-friendly, and her husband got killed in the first episode. Other than her, I don't care about anyone else at the church. I really don't. Let me see what else. When the father and the 17-year-old kid, I think his name is Adrian, and then the two prisoners, they're going. The female prisoner is driving. We find out that she's a junkie, and she's stupid as hell. People are pointing guns at them, saying, give us the car. And okay, she does a smart thing and just takes off. That's a smart thing to do. But then once they're in the clear already, the other characters are telling her to slow down. You can't see where you're going, and she doesn't want to listen to them. She's having a attack of some kind, withdrawal, and then she ends up crashing the car, and they have to, they lose their car. Now they have to go on foot. So that was just, it's just a stupid thing, I don't like when writers have characters make stupid decisions or do stupid things, because it makes the character seem stupid. And you don't have to do that in this type of story. You really don't. I mean, just look at a recent example of Jordan Peele's Get Out. The main character in Get Out, I forget his name, but the actor who played him, Daniel Kaluuya, I have trouble pronouncing his last name, so I'm sorry about that. But the main character in Get Out is not stupid. He's not dumb. Everything that he says and does and feels and thinks in that movie is smart. It's what a real person would do. And that's why that's considered right now one of the best movies of the year, because it's just a really well-crafted film. Well written, well directed, well everything. But here, when you have characters making stupid decisions like that, it's hard for me to want to connect with that character. That might just be me, I'm not sure. There's a point where they're all four of them are getting to the church, and as they're going, the junkie, I don't know her name, I'm just going to call her the junkie, but she goes back because she realizes they left the guns. So she wants to go get the guns, and while she goes to get them, she sees an elderly woman talking to her, and she calls her a baby doll. And, they have to come back for her, saying, just go, we have to get back to the church. And later on in the episode, the homeless soldier, I guess, who has, who was held prisoner, he tells her while they're laying down at the church together side by side, he says baby doll, and he's like, I saw the old woman too. So that's pretty interesting, I think, that wasn't in the film for sure, is that the mist can make you see people who are dead, people who aren't really there. But of course, if more than one person could see her, is she really there then? Is she can the mist actually make people, can it bring them to life, or is it just some kind of something in your brain that just clicks and allows you to see these types of things? I'm not really too sure, but that is very interesting to me, at least as a viewer, and I hope to see in future episodes if they delve into that a little bit more, because that's something I'd definitely like to find out about. Let me see. I have a couple of notes here that I took. Let me see. There's some outsider characters that Eve notices, and she's telling the manager in charge of them all. She's telling him, that those people, are they from here? And of course, later on in the episode, he tells her, no, I don't think they're from here. But at the end of the episode, we find out that two out of those three people hung themselves. Very similar to the movie where one of the soldiers hangs himself, and then everyone gets on the other soldier who didn't kill himself. I think that was Sam Witwer actually, but they start getting over him. So I think that might happen in the show as well, where these two, they kind of look like kids. They look like people around my age. So they hung themselves. These two outsiders hung themselves, and one of them didn't. They're probably going to all, start harassing and questioning and cornering the third person who's an outsider, and try and get information out of them. But I don't know how people like that, normal looking people, maybe they are soldiers who just look super young and they're just not in uniform, but just to have them be in normal civilian clothes, and I don't know, that just kind of seems weird to me that they would be people who know something about the mist. If anything, I really thought it was going to be the homeless man who's wearing the uniform. I thought he was going to be the soldier who knows about the mist and what's going on, but apparently he doesn't know anything. He just knows that there's something in the mist that killed his dog. So I guess that's all we're getting. That's really all I have to say about this episode. Maybe I'm missing something, maybe I'm not. Of course, that's just because maybe this episode wasn't as good as the first episode. It's just, again, my opinion. I really enjoyed the first episode. It made me want to watch the entire series. But this episode, it was okay. I give it like a 6 out of 10. I mean, I'm definitely going to be back for episode 3, and I hope it gets better. The preview for next week's episode looks a lot better than the episode we just got. So, I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. If you guys agree with me, if you don't, maybe have different opinions on this episode. Maybe you really liked it, maybe you really hated it. I don't know, but I'd definitely love to know. So just go ahead and leave a comment. And if you're interested for more content on the Mist TV series reviews or episodes, not episodes, but videos about Stephen King's It, the new movie that's coming out on September 8th, I got plenty of videos on Pennywise as well, because I love all things Stephen King and horror. So if you want more content like that, just go ahead and click the subscribe button and the little bell thingy notification, and you get more videos with yours truly. So this has been Clan 3117, signing off.